Picture this, my friend. It's late at night, the world is silent, and you're lying there staring at a phone that hasn't lit up in hours, replaying every word you said to her, every emotion you revealed, every moment you chose honesty over mystery, vulnerability over restraint, love over self-control, and your chest feels heavy, your stomach feels hollow, your throat feels tight because deep down you already know something shifted. Not because you weren't enough, not because you did something wrong, but because you love too honestly, too openly, too completely, in a world that doesn't reward emotional purity. And what I'm about to tell you will dismantle the romantic fantasy you were programmed to believe. You were taught that honesty builds intimacy, that vulnerability creates connection, that pouring your heart out guarantees loyalty, but attraction doesn't operate on moral logic, it operates on brain chemistry, dopamine, uncertainty, emotional tension, and polarity. And the moment you revealed everything, the moment you made her the center of your emotional universe, her subconscious stopped craving you and started evaluating you. My brother, if you've ever felt her energy change, her text slow down, her voice grow distant, her warmth turn cold without explanation, understand this. You didn't lose her because you were weak. You didn't lose her because you weren't masculine enough. You didn't lose her because you were too kind. You didn't lose her because you weren't honest enough. You lost her because you surrendered polarity. You surrendered mystery. You surrendered emotional leverage. And in the sexual marketplace of human psychology, availability destroys perceived value. So listen to me carefully because this isn't a motivational speech. This is a psychological awakening. Every man who loves too honestly pays the same price. And tonight, you're going to understand exactly why. It's 2:37 in the morning, the city is silent, the world has gone numb, and you're wide awake, staring at a phone that refuses to light up with her name, replaying every word you said, every emotion you revealed, every moment you chose honesty over mystery, vulnerability over restraint, love over self-control, and now your chest feels heavy like a stone. Your stomach feels hollow like something vital was taken from you. Your throat feels tight like the truth is trying to choke its way out. And your mind is trapped in a slow, merciless loop between hope and humiliation. Because deep down, you already know the truth. You gave too much, too early, too honestly. And what I'm about to tell you will dismantle the romantic fantasy you were programmed to believe. Men are biologically hardwired to bond through vulnerability, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin flooding the brain, turning affection into addiction, turning attention into obsession, turning her into emotional oxygen, turning her into the center of your internal universe, while women are neurologically wired to evaluate emotional strength, not emotional purity. And when you spill your heart too fast, her subconscious doesn't hear. He loves deeply. It hears he is emotionally available without resistance. It hears he has no emotional armor. It hears he is surrendering leverage. And in the sexual marketplace of human psychology, availability destroys perceived value, mystique collapses, tension evaporates, polarity dies, and desire quietly suffocates. You thought honesty builds intimacy. You thought transparency builds trust. You thought emotional exposure creates connection. You thought being the good man would protect you from abandonment. But attraction doesn't operate on moral logic. It operates on brain chemistry. Dopamine spikes with uncertainty, challenge, emotional asymmetry, emotional tension, and when you reveal everything, when you confess everything, when you emotionally unload everything, you remove the chase, you remove the mystery, you remove the friction that keeps her nervous system craving you, and suddenly you become safe, predictable, emotionally naked, emotionally heavy, and the female brain interprets that as low dominance energy, emotional liability, not romantic power. My brother, I've seen this story 1,000 times. The good man who texts good morning every day, who sends paragraphs, who listens deeply, who remembers her trauma, who shares his childhood wounds, who reassures her insecurities, who cancels his plans for her availability, who centers his life around her happiness, who over-explains his feelings, who plans a future she hasn't earned yet, who gives loyalty before attraction has stabilized, who gives commitment before polarity has solidified. And then one day her energy fades, her text slow, her tone changes, her affection turns cold, her eyes lose warmth, and she says, I just don't feel the spark anymore. Not because you weren't enough, not because you lacked value, not because you failed as a man, not because you were weak, but already has structure, direction, discipline, and internal order. Because a woman doesn't fall in love with your words, she falls in love with how you make her nervous system feel. And desire is not built through confession. It's built through presence, polarity, emotional containment, and masculine groundedness. And if you're hurting right now, if you're sitting alone replaying her voice, her laugh, her warmth, her softness, wondering where you went wrong, wondering why your honesty wasn't enough, wondering why your love wasn't enough, understand this. You didn't fail because you loved too much. You failed because you loved without boundaries, without leverage, without emotional discipline. And that's not weakness, that's inexperience. But pain is a teacher, brother. Heartbreak is a brutal mentor. And this loss is not your punishment. It's your initiation into emotional mastery, into masculine self-control, into psychological clarity, into a deeper understanding of how attraction actually works. Not how movies taught you, not how fairy tales programmed you, not how society lied to you. So rise from this not bitter, not resentful, not hateful, not vengeful, but disciplined, grounded, emotionally sovereign, and self-directed. Because the man who masters his emotional energy becomes unforgettable. And the man who doesn't becomes a lesson she tells her next lover about. And one day, when you love again, you won't love like a boy starving for connection. You won't love like a man begging for validation. You won't love like someone afraid of abandonment. You'll love like a man who chooses connection, who gives access slowly, who reveals depth selectively, who leads emotionally instead of chasing emotionally, who contains his feelings instead of dumping them, who builds polarity instead of collapsing it. And that, my friend, is the difference between a man who gets abandoned and a man who becomes irreplaceable. My friend, my brother, if you're listening to this right now, it means you've been there, sitting alone in silence, replaying her voice in your head, her smile, her warmth, the way she used to look at you before everything changed, wondering where you went wrong, wondering why your honesty wasn't enough, wondering why your love wasn't enough, wondering how something that felt so real could collapse so quietly. And I want you to understand something before you carry this pain into the next chapter of your life. You didn't lose her because you were too K. You didn't lose her because you were too loyal. You didn't lose her because you were too honest. You didn't lose her because you weren't enough. You lost her because you loved, without boundaries, without polarity, without emotional discipline, because nobody ever taught you that attraction isn't built on emotional purity. It's built on emotional mastery. And the world lied to you when it told you that pouring your heart out would guarantee love. It won't. It only guarantees vulnerability without leverage. And leverage is not cruelty, it's not manipulation, it's not coldness, it's self-respect, it's emotional sovereignty. It's the ability to feel deeply without collapsing into desperation, to love deeply without abandoning your identity, to connect deeply without surrendering your center. Listen to me, brother. Heartbreak is not your curse, it's your initiation, it's your psychological awakening, it's the moment life forces you to see reality instead of fantasy. And this pain you're carrying right now is not here to destroy you, it's here to refine you, to discipline you, to sharpen you into a man who understands emotional control, masculine grounding, internal stability, and polarity. You are not weak for loving deeply. You are not broken for feeling everything intensely. You are not defective because you trusted too fast. You are not unworthy because she walked away. You are simply untrained in emotional power, and power without training always self-destructs. So from this moment forward, you don't become bitter, you don't become hateful, you don't become resentful, you don't turn cold, you don't turn cruel, you don't start using people to protect your ego. You become disciplined, you become grounded, you become emotionally sovereign, you build your body, your mission, your purpose, your direction, your structure, your self-respect, and you let women enter a life that already has order instead of making a woman the center of your universe. You stop over-explaining your feelings, you stop emotionally dumping your pain, you stop chasing closure, you stop begging for reassurance, you stop making your happiness someone else's responsibility, and you start leading your life with presence, polarity, self-control, and quiet confidence. Love deeply, but never love desperately. Be honest, but never be emotionally uncontrolled. Feel everything, but reveal selectively. Because mystery is not dishonesty, restraint is not repression, and emotional containment is not weakness. It's masculine power. And one day, when you love again, you won't love like a boy starving for connection. You won't love like a man begging for validation. You won't love like someone afraid of abandonment. You'll love like a man who chooses connection instead of chasing it, who gives access slowly instead of all at once, who reveals depth selectively instead of emotionally bleeding on people, who leads emotionally instead of collapsing emotionally. And that, my friend, is the difference between a man who gets abandoned and a man who becomes irreplaceable. So rise from this loss, not ashamed, not broken, not defeated, but disciplined, awakened, and self-directed. Because the man who masters his emotional energy becomes unforgettable, and the man who doesn't becomes a lesson she tells her next lover about. And your story doesn't end here, brother. This is where your power actually begins.